It's Labor Day weekend, but there isn't much good news to report on our labor market, what the latest numbers show, or rather don't show. Plus,
this storm looks to be rather unpredictable and slow moving.
A giant storm churning in the Gulf, taking aim on a major city, no stranger to disaster. That and the latest on another weather threat named Katia. Your independent news network starts right now. Good evening, everyone. I'm Mike Bickle. Welcome to INN News. We head into Labor Day weekend with some really grim news about jobs. Hiring slammed to a complete halt in August in the U.S. A report out this morning from the government shows no new jobs were created last month. The national unemployment rate remains at 9.1%. President Obama unveils his plan to put Americans to work when he addresses a joint session of Congress next Thursday. Seems Americans are nervous about the economy. A new poll asked if we're in a recession. 82% said yes, 18% said no. And when asked what issue is most important for the Obama administration, 68% said creating jobs, 30% said reducing the deficit. Now to the latest weather threats in the Atlantic. There's Hurricane Katia way out in the Atlantic. This is a satellite image of that storm. But there's another system churning in the Gulf that will likely bring massive rain to the Gulf states. Meteorologist Ed Russo brings us up to date on both storms. Ed?
Mike, the tropics are definitely getting very, very active. Tropical Depression 13 across the northern Gulf here. We're starting to notice some convection breaking out around the center of the circulation. So that's an indication that we are starting to see this storm strengthen. And once its sustained winds are 39 miles an hour and greater, it becomes a tropical storm. And this one will be named Lee once it does so. And it's going to drift to the north very, very slowly across parts of Louisiana, only at 5 miles an hour. So we're going to see some places potentially get over 20 inches of rain. I'm talking about southeastern Louisiana, southern parts of Mississippi where we have that gray color. That denotes upwards of 15 inches of rain for the Labor Day weekend. So what a washout it's going to be across parts of the southern Mississippi Valley. And back as far west as Baton Rouge, potentially getting over a foot and several inches possible across central Louisiana, including Alexandria, and northward through Jackson, going to get some heavy rain from this as well. And right along the coast, especially parishes along the coast of Louisiana and counties along the coast of Mississippi, from Biloxi westward through New Orleans and Lake Charles, tropical storm warnings are in effect. But the system that's not going to affect the Gulf of Mexico at this point is Hurricane Katia, which will continue to move towards the west. Mike?
Thanks, Ed. The mayor of New Orleans says this tropical depression's looking really bad for his city, and he offers this warning.
What I want to tell folks here, though, is what we do know is that there's high wind, there is a lot of rain, and it's going slow. That's not a good prescription for the city of New Orleans.
Oil rigs in the Gulf are already being evacuated, and a state of emergency has been declared. On the flip side, Texas is really hoping to get a shot at all that rain, although now it's looking less likely. A giant blaze continues to burn in Palo Pinto County. That's the northern part of the state. The fire has destroyed at least 40 homes. This is the worst fire season in Texas history. 3.5 million acres have burned since last November. Now to the disaster out east. Post-Irene, rescue crews have reached the last town in Vermont cut off by washed out roads after Irene. President Obama has declared a disaster in the state, opening the way for federal aid. Even so, people along the East Coast faced a long road to recovery in the wake of Irene. Recent storms are making it harder for already flooded out Iowa farmers to recover. As Jonathan Athens from our affiliate KPTM reports, the road to recovery is going to take a lot longer than most people had hoped.
It smells so good.
When did this happen?
This morning.
What were your first thoughts when you saw all this?
Oh, just part of the everyday happenings around here.
All the bad stars seem to have lined up for Iowa farmers in this part of the state. Floodwaters from the Missouri River have flooded hundreds of thousands of acres of land.
Well, how much damage has it done to the ground? How long it's going to be before we can get it back to full productivity?
And experts think that it's going to be months before those waters recede. And by the time that happens, the temperature is going to be dropping. And once it hits below freezing, this farmland is going to turn into one giant ice rink.
We don't think much of this is going to get farmed next year. And there's nothing we can do. There's nothing we can do about it. You just have to wait it out, be patient, be positive, and hope for the best.
How confident are you that all these small communities are going to be able to recover 100%?
Well, I think the recovery is going to be mid to long term, I think there'll be some of our infrastructure that will not recover.
And then there's an issue of money. The Federal Management Agency has said it's going to freeze disaster relief to parts of the country that have suffered from flooding, wildfires, tornadoes, and drought.
Well, certainly we've had a lot of major disasters over the past few weeks and months, and the money is tight, but there isn't sufficient funding, especially for here in Nebraska.
I got my same dirty hat on, same sunglasses. Air conditioner's broke down today, but I'm happy.
And even though farmers in Iowa have the backbone to get through this, they're still at the mercy of Mother Nature.
This is going to take a lot longer to get dried up and to get back into the fields.
Jonathan Athens reporting for INN News.
Next week, federal and state officials expect to know just how much damage the flood has caused that farmland in Iowa. A powerful earthquake hit early today off the coast of Alaska. The quake was located in the Aleutian Islands, had a magnitude of 6.8. It happened more than 1,000 miles away from Anchorage. There are no serious problems reported so far. Time for Global News Now. Workers at a suspended nuclear power plant in central Japan staged a practice drill in preparation for a possible major earthquake and tsunami. Some 1,000 workers took part in the drill, where they had simulated the plant had lost all power after being struck by a tsunami triggered by a quake. They practiced restoring power to a reactor by connecting cables to a generator. Also in Japan, the new prime minister is now in charge. The emperor appointed Yoshihiko Noda to the position and confirmed the appointments of cabinet ministers today. Noda says his highest priority is rebuilding and restoring areas hit by the March earthquake and tsunami. He also stressed the need to develop Japan's relations with the United States. The U.S. Embassy in Tripoli was damaged in the fighting to oust Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi. This is video of the complex. No one was in the embassy when it was damaged. The embassy was abandoned in February when the fighting broke out in Tripoli. South Korean and U.S. forces have staged a joint military drill in South Korea in defiance of military threats from North Korea. The drill at a firing range near the demilitarized zone included mobilization of the U.S. military's newest model tanks and armored vehicles deployed to South Korea in August. Attack helicopters belonging to the two countries' military forces also took part. And that's your Global News Now. Well, many of you have them in your yards, but tonight, a warning about these gel pots, how people have gotten hurt, and what you need to know before lighting one. And keeping safe around the campfire and on the trail. Tips for you and your whole family for the long weekend.
Eating healthier doesn't have to be more expensive. I'm Erica Rodriguez. Coming up, I'll show you how to save money at farmers markets.
And we want to remind you, INN News is on Facebook. Now you can also find us on Twitter at INN News Network. And we're on YouTube. We're reaching out to you, so you can reach out to us. INN News will be right back.